But God bless you. Thank you for listening today. Yes, my next guest grew up as, he describes himself as an average boy in an average American neighborhood. Zachary King. He grew up in a Baptist home, a Southern Baptist home. But he began practicing magic at the age of 10. He joined a satanic coven at the age of 13. By the age of 15, he was immersed in dark wickedness. From his teenage years to his adulthood, he worked his way up and became high wizard in the coven and actively pushed Satan's agenda, including ritualistic abortions. Yes, you heard that right. I'm going to get him to talk to you about it. And including infiltrating and breaking up churches. Some of you Christians that are still scratching your head wondering what in the heck happened in your church and to your pastor and to the leaders of your church and through the leaders of your church in some cases, you're going to hear Zach tell you what's happened. He was involved in infiltrating and busting up churches. He attended Bohemian Grove over 15 times. Most of our listeners know what that is, but if you don't, he'll tell you in a few moments. Some of them by special invitation. But then in 2008, just 7 years ago in a shopping mall, he had a life-changing experience, gave his life to Jesus Christ. Gloriously born again, saved. After 26 years in the occult, the Church of Satan, if you will, Zachary became a warrior for Christ. And he shares his knowledge for the protection of God's people all over the place. I've seen him on TV. You've probably seen him on TV. You've heard him on radio broadcast. Today he's with us on Freedom Friday. His website is allsaintsministry.org, allsaintsministry.org. Zachary King, welcome to Freedom Friday and the Freedom Friday audience.
Carl, it is awesome to be here. Thank you very much.
It's great to have you, and I know that Brandon Big B had a lot of time with you and did a pre-interview with you several weeks ago, and he just ranted and raved, and he says, man, you got to get this guy on Freedom Friday. And, of course, I knew about you and had done some more reading about you, knew that from everything we could read and research, you're a for-real guy, you really love Jesus, you really were involved in all this nastiness, and you've got a lot to say. You're exposing a lot, I'm sure, at your own spiritual risk and maybe even your own physical risk as well.
Well, Satan's always, upset and rants and raves when you put him in a leg lock and pull him out into the light.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt about that, brother. I was a cop for 10 years, and then I've been I was in law enforcement for 10 years. I was a patrol officer for 7 or 8 of those years, and then I've been a pastor for over 30 years, and good gosh, I mean, I've battled it all. I mean, we had some people sent from a witch coven to our church, and we actually had to stop the service and arrest the people and put them out of the service. I mean, I've battled Freemasonry at the national level, at the local level. It's infiltration into the churches. By the way, we were talking off air before we get into the ritualistic abortions and all of that. Tell the folks what you were telling me off air about Freemasonry and your involvement in that in Southern Baptist churches and in the satanic covens. I think this would be very informative for them to hear this, and it might even help somebody listening today to get out of that mess if they're in it.
Well, for the people that don't know, Freemasons hate Christians. Their organization is vastly anti-Christian. In a very simple way of understanding it, to like really dumb it down, and I appreciate people that dumb things down because I say I'm not all that smart. So, if I can get a simple version, that's what I want. So, in the early levels of Freemasonry, you swear allegiances to Jesus, and everybody at the lower levels thinks, "Oh, this is a great organization because I'm swearing allegiance to Jesus." But then, as you go up, they have you swear allegiances to crazy things, like swear allegiance to a straw or a piece of paper, and you're never going to do anything to that straw or that piece of paper that could cause it any harm whatsoever, and you're going to honor it for the rest of your life. Then they have you cut it up, burn it, and you swear all these things on penalty of death. And after you do a bunch of those, and they've watered down what the oath means, and it means nothing to you, then you start doing Luciferian oaths.
Yes.
And when you're a 33rd degree Mason, they have you curse your entire line from you forward.
Yeah.
But this doesn't mean anything to you because you just swore an oath to your sandwich and to your straw and to your Coke bottle.
Right.
So, that didn't mean anything, neither does this. So I was involved in a satanic coven. As you mentioned, I joined officially when I was 13. Well, in my coven, there's about 120 members, which is pretty large for a satanic coven, and not by far the largest that I've been in. But of my coven, we had a pretty big Southern Baptist church, and there was probably, I'm going to guess, about 15 deacons, and all but one of them were members of my satanic coven. Also, all but one of them, same one, was a member of the Freemasons.
Right.
Now, when I turned 18, they tried to get me to join the Freemasons. Now, had they told me it was a satanic organization, I'd have probably joined. But they didn't say that. They just said, it's a fun, a boys' club. Come on in and you'll have a great time.
Right.
I was already having a great time in my satanic coven and didn't see a reason to join that too. Had I joined that, then I'd have an even better story to tell you.
Right.
About my life.
Right.
I'm sure I would have been 33rd degree.
Well, Zachary, first of all, thank you for vindicating me. I mean, it's not all about me, but thank you for vindicating me, because as a pastor for many years dealing with this at the local level, at the regional level, and at the national level, literally at the national level, Southern Baptist. Listen, I was written up in the Freemason Monitor. I mean, they lambasted me, and it went around the nation in their magazine. I had people that I had one guy that was a home repair guy and a business, and he owned a business, and the local Mason Lodge had him doing some work inside, not knowing, of course, the guy was a member of my church and knew everything I was teaching on this and exposing. He picked up a magazine laying there on the counter, and it was a national magazine because it said something about a pastor that was, quote, attacking Masons, and there was my name. And I mean, they blasted me all over the nation. So yeah, I've been extremely involved in this, and you and I both, neither one of us are saying that all Masons are also involved in satanic covens. And we're not saying that everybody who's in a satanic coven is in the Masons, but the two often go hand in hand, and they often go hand in hand with leadership positions in churches. And this is what I've been screaming for years and telling pastors, you better deal with this, or you're going to have the Church of Satan inside your church operating in positions of leadership. Am I right, Zachary?
You are exactly right. And congratulations for doing that work and for getting it accomplished. And
yeah.
I know that it's not totally accomplished, but congratulations on at least getting the ball rolling.
Thank you.
I have one of my badges of honor. We have what's called a curriculum vitae. It's like a resume for Catholics or for speakers. And in 2013, I was banned by the Freemasons from speaking in Medford, Wisconsin. And I actually put that on my resume.
Wow. Wow. Hey, wear that like a badge of honor, brother. Listen, we've got to take a quick time out. My guest is Zachary King, who at the age of 13 joined a satanic coven. Eventually, in his adulthood, became a high wizard in the coven. And actually went to Bohemian Grove over 15 times and participated in ritualistic abortions, participated in infiltrating and breaking up churches. Zachary, thanks so much for being a part of the show today. Zachary, of course, now is a born-again believer in Jesus Christ. His website is allsaintsministry.org, and he's exposing this demonic spirit that is sweeping our nation, sweeping our churches, and now talk to us, Zachary. I'm going to hush. People want to hear from you. Tell us about this ritualistic abortion deal, how that ties into the abortion industry today, and anything else that you want to tell this audience.
The abortion industry is so vile, and it's just no coincidence that the country is like just seemingly just swirling just in the cesspool. We're just waiting for that final flush before we just go down. And abortion is one of the major pushes towards that.
Yeah.
It's almost like where to begin. My first abortion that I helped participate in, when I was 14 years old, the coven came to me and said, we want you to participate in an orgy where there'll be males between 12 and 15, and they'll be with a woman that's over 18. And your purpose is to impregnate this woman, and we're going to abort her child in 8 or 9 months. And I thought, they mentioned an abortion to me, and I thought, cool. Well, I said cool out loud. And then I went home and thought, I got to look up this word because I don't have any idea what that is. And I remember my parents whispering the word abortion, so I thought it was a dirty word.
Uh-huh.
Looked it up in the dictionary, and it's like no help. So I went to the library. There's these huge 500-page books on abortion. I'm like, I'm 14 years old. I'm not reading that to find out what abortion is. So I went back to my coven, and I was like, hey, I was told that I had to participate in this, but I don't know what this is. So what is that? And they're like, oh, it's simple. You just kill a baby in the womb.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, is that legal? Oh, yeah, absolutely. As long as the baby's in the womb, you can kill it. If it comes outside, it's murder. You can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as it's in there, not a problem. So 8 or 9 months later, we're at a coven member's farmhouse that I got to tell you is more sterile than a lot of abortion clinics I've been in.
Yeah.
We've got all the equipment there, medical equipment, abortion doctor, nurse. The 13 top members are surrounding this woman that's in stirrups. She's on a birthing bed. She's all ready to go. There's 50 nude women on the floor that are chanting and swaying our bodies ourselves. Mm-hmm. By the end of this procedure, they all look possessed. There's all the men in the room are in their robes, and they're chanting and doing spell work. And my job, I'm going to be the magic practitioner of what's happening, is to insert both of my hands into this woman with a scalpel. My job's supposed to be to stab the baby. I just have to do it once, but I couldn't actually find the baby. Mm-hmm. When it's your first time, it's different than what you're expecting.
Yeah.
So, but what you have to do is get blood on your hands.
Right.
And the woman's got plenty of blood, so I pulled out both my hands, and they're both covered in blood. And then the doctor finishes up the procedure, and it's a disgusting procedure. And the end result in that one was not only did we have a dead baby, but it was ripped apart, thrown to the women on the floor, and they cannibalized it.
Oh, gosh.
That doesn't happen in all of them. It happens at particular rituals. It happened in that one. In some of them, the participants drink the blood of the child. Sometimes they drink the blood of the woman.
Right.
It just depends on what's required for your particular spell that you're doing.
Right.
Now, that spell is not... It is a special spell in that it is the strongest one in the Satanist arsenal. If you have to pull out all the stops and you absolutely need a bill to pass, some huge construction project you want to have go forward, somebody you want to have become president, or even further down the, mayor, mm-hmm. chief of police, something like that, mm-hmm. this is the spell they go for. Mm-hmm. Now, these things happen every day. From 1973 till now, just in America, we've had 53 million abortions.
Right.
Every night between midnight and 3 a.m., abortions are dedicated to Satan. Midnight is the witching hour.
How so? How are they dedicated? What do you mean?
They do an extended black mass.
Mm-hmm. The covens do.
The covens do. They do, and usually it's not the entire coven. It's usually in particular satanic covens, they use the magic people in them to conduct them. Right. Because it's a magic spell.
So while abortions are going on in America, a bunch of witches and warlocks and magic practitioners are praying and dedicating these abortions to Satan.
Right.
Yeah, that's good to know. Yeah, thank you. Go ahead. Keep going.
And they do this. It's a regular black mass probably lasts, you can probably blast one out in about 20 minutes, but they like to be a little theatrical, so they'll usually stretch it out 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
The black mass that happens during those events is 3 hours.
Yeah.
It goes from midnight to 3. 3 a.m. is the devil's hour.
Yeah.
And it's a mockery of when it's believed Jesus died on the cross.
Right, of course, of course. And that's what Satan does. Listen, we're running out of time. You've only got about a minute and a half, but let me say, one of the things that you really emphasized is that this practice of Satanism in this way, in this coven ritualistic way, that even small towns can have up to 100 practitioners, and you say they come from all strata of society. Talk about that for just a moment before we have to go.
My town that I grew up in had about 4,000 or 5,000 people. We got satanic people from all the neighboring towns, and we had 120 members in our coven. When I moved up to a bigger city and went to a university, I joined a coven there that worldwide has worldwide ties and has 1.1 million members. Uh-huh. if I could stress anything during this call, I know I have just a few seconds to go, it's that abortion is spiritual warfare.
Yeah.
Do not think that we will change a law and that will instantly eliminate abortion. And do not think that we can send enough people to Washington to march in January.
Right.
And that will attract somebody's attention and they'll change the law.
Right.
It is spiritual warfare. Satan doesn't send very many people, and we send way too many.
Thank you.
And we don't realize that it's spiritual warfare and not a physical battle.
Thank you. That's a good word. Good word. Listen, I looked at the clock wrong. We actually right now have about 45 seconds. So you went to 15 Bohemian Groves, this demonic, ritualistic, satanic meeting of powers in the United States. And you saw at one of these meetings a man that was introduced to you as a future president of the United States. Tell the folks about that and who that guy was.
My group was walking through a field. This guy was on an intersect course with us, which is negative for anybody to be on an intersect course with the High Wizard. If you don't have an appointment, this could be a death sentence for you.
Right.
You got
about 15 seconds.
The guy that was leading, Alex, stopped me, showed me some guy. This guy walked past, and he said, that man's going to be president one day. And I looked and thought, this is, in the 90s, I was like, we're never going to elect a black president. And we did. We elected him twice.
Yeah, yep. So it was Barack Obama in the 1990s at Bohemian Grove, and you were told then he's going to be president of the United States at a demonic, ritualistic meeting.